Home Sweet Hell by Wade Welch. In the last few years we have become aware that there is a vast worldwide distribution of archaeological evidence that proves we have a past that includes civilizations superior to ours. The evidence suggests that scholars and scientists are correct in their interpretation of science and history. All we have to do is dig in the ground or dive in the oceans and we will have more evidence. In the last 1,000 years or so, we have attempted to establish that we are blessed beings who have been in existence for 4,000 years or so. We go into great detail to describe things that have no evidence and demand that we believe or we shall be condemned. In spite of more ancient belief systems that are still prominent, in spite of evidence that proves we had superior cities built tens of thousands of years ago, and in spite of evidence of reincarnation, we cling to false truths. What makes us so severely limited in our abilities and so full of hate and fear? The answer is very simple. We worship the ego. We worship ourselves. We manufacture belief systems and demand that we focus all of our efforts on extravagant half-truths, or outright lies. We create social networks to control politics and create wealth, and to condemn those who would seek truth. The truth lies in ancient history, and we are reminded of this constantly. It gets to the point where no one actually believes in anything other than the ego, as it tells us that we are great. We are better. We are perfect. Our society goes down the drain in blazing glory and we deny all truth. We may as well each take a picture of ourselves and put it on the wall and worship that. Let's form a group and celebrate how easy it is to worship a lie. Under each ocean we have found ancient civilizations built in a manner we cannot even begin to comprehend. We have these same great cities underground and have dug them up. We have them above ground and in plain sight. We say it is Satan trying to destroy our greatness. Oh, hail the ego! Oh, hail the ego! Only a fool would cling to truth and defend all that is in plain sight. We are going to discover even greater truths in the next few years or decades. Maybe we already have and they have been kept secret. Either way, the truth will get out. Each year we have more people who care about truth and understand that life has meaning. It is almost to the point where simple math proves that we are spiritual beings living in a physical world. I have found it to be a challenge to write about truth. Here in America, the land of the free and home of the brave, we have to lie or face punishment. Those who are successful know when to keep their mouth shut and when to lie. Telling the truth is not in our best interest if we embrace success. It seldom does anything other than give your competition some weapon to use against you. In fact, truth has little value in our society. The ego gives us ammunition against truth. It is easy to label an honest person as self-righteous or delusional. Money is our obsession and offers tremendous power to those willing to sacrifice personal integrity and hide behind lies and excuses. Excuses are valuable tools in our pursuit of profit. The ego offers us so many grand illusions to support the foundation for our false existence. I decided to make a stand against injustice years ago, as my writing suggests. It comes at a cost, but suffering was already my companion, so it is no big deal. The difficult part is maintaining a positive attitude in a society where embracing truth is so risky. It is sad that we need to compromise our belief system or be punished. The trick, I think, is to know when to find your own true path. My path, however, was going to include suffering, no matter what. I am still not sure why, but I do know that it is in my core that I want to partner with truth. I really do think truth is our future as a species, but it certainly is not our present. Hate is the gift from society if we tell the truth. Fear is the gift no matter what we do. Our world is right in front of us. We wake up each day and open our eyes, welcoming an existence that allows us to experience life. We may dwell on positives or negatives, or maybe we have no choice. Today may be based on what happened yesterday, or how we hope to plan for the future. It would seem we all have one common goal: to make money. Is there another goal? Save the planet? Save the whales? Collect antiques? Or is there something that is truly important? Selfishness is not a problem, is it? Not unless it is someone else being selfish. For those readers who realize that we all have a purpose in our life, one that illustrates our true self, this is for you. Truth. As a person who searches for truth, I could spend 50 years working hard every day and still not understand the great mystery of life. Or, I could wake up one day and know it all. It depends on my ability to find answers. As an individual, I have to rely on others for most of my knowledge. Even then, my chances are slim that I would know it all. What if it is possible to have a source for truth that is not on Earth? If I was holding Earth in my hand, I would probably know more about the universe than if I was a microscopic speck on the planet. It seems obvious that if I want to explain life, then I should have a source of knowledge beyond what is available. If we study history, we will find that many of the answers are already there. There are multiple sources of information that are not from Earth. As children, we are told a multitude of lies. The masses dwell on daily life and only believe what we can see or touch. Those who have access to knowledge given to them are likely going to keep it secret and use it for personal gain. The rare person who makes the commitment to searching for truth is one who would also share the knowledge. The search would begin with inspiration, and for it to continue, would need to have help along the way. By the time the truth was discovered, it would be a joyous occasion. Sharing is one of the basic purposes in life. As a writer, I have inspiration and a purpose. I may be trying to persuade readers to consider a subjective matter. I may be relaying information I have discovered, or I may be attempting to take the work of other writers and make it more effective. With my efforts, I provide a tool for others. Anyone who cares enough to improve what I write is welcome. I am trying to move forward rather than move backward. In the recent past, I have written about truth. How long does it take for the written word to be obsolete? If I utilize a vague approach, I can make my work stand for a very long time. If I try and paint a picture that provides answers, it would be a work in progress. I would need to add a few more brush strokes as we discover more truth. Afterlife. I wrote about the realm our souls encounter after we die. It described a path of light that leads to heaven, and the surrounding darkness that is hell. It was a vague description, and I never thought we would have more specific information for a long time. I would call that a self-imposed limitation. Humanity has studied the stars since the most ancient of times. It is no wonder that scientists may spend an entire career studying the mysteries of the universe. Science must be bound by its limitations, which include assumptions based on evidence. Scientists must rely on theory to explain new discoveries. There comes a point where evidence appears overwhelming, but we still need more than occasional witnesses. In the last few years, scientists have verified the existence of heaven and hell. It is still theory, but is supported by a long chain of discoveries in the last 100 years. It begins with subatomic particles and the relationship of matter, energy, and space. It includes deductions resulting from the combination of these scientific principles with the many statements from witnesses. Intuitive and spiritual authors have spoken out about the truth in these scientific deductions. We have a connection to the spiritual realm that cannot be denied at this point. I have found that they are parallel with the evidence that Edgar Cayce provided. He provided us with the best documented evidence of the existence of heaven and hell. I now have found 3 different sources that say the same thing about the afterlife. I have written about the life of Edgar Cayce. At that time, I did not value scientific theory as being valid enough to include. With the increased number of witnesses, and the more vivid the explanations, I think there is enough to establish what mankind truly needs. Truth. There are probably still variances to the picture we now paint, but the fine-tuning is not needed to improve the definition of mankind. Edgar Cayce showed us evidence that cannot be denied by any person seeking truth. He displayed this truth every day for 40 years. In my opinion, his life is the most important tool for society. We are now ready to begin working for our purpose. All we have left is to understand it. It may be a very long time before we are worthy, but now is the starting point. This is a quote from Cayce while he was giving a lecture in 1933. Not in his tranced state. He was asked about the source of his readings. The experience has come 8 or 10 times while giving life readings for individuals. I remember nothing of the reading, but have a very vivid impression of the following. I knew my spirit, mind, or soul was separated from my body and that it was seeking information for another. I passed into utter darkness, so dark that it actually hurt, yet there was a stream of light that I knew I must follow, and nothing on either side of the light must detract from my purpose to receive for that other what it was seeking in the way of aid for itself. As I passed along the line of light, I became conscious of forms of movement crowding toward the light. Coming to the next plane, I realized that the forms of movement or figures were taking shape as humans. Rather the exaggeration of human desires. Passing a little farther, these forms were gradually lost, still I had the consciousness that they were seeking the light or more light. Then the figures gradually took form, continually coming toward the light. Finally I passed through a place where individuals appeared much as they do today, men and women, but satisfied with their position, rather than crowding toward the light. The number of individuals in this state of satisfaction continued to grow, and then there were homes and cities where they were content to continue as they were. Still following the light, which grew stronger and stronger, I heard music in the beyond. Then there came a space where all was springtime, all was a blossom, all was summer. Some were happy, some desired to remain, but many were pressing on and on to the place where there might be greater understanding, more light, more to be gained. Then I reached a place where I was seeking the records of the lives of people that lived in the earth. Don't ever think that your life isn't written in the book of life. I found it. I have seen it. It is being written, you are the writer. Cayce showed us that we have a darkness that surrounds us after we die. There is a path of light available for those who are ready. Knowing this may be enough for most people, but if we know more we may be able to show everyone what the future holds. If we all began pursuing this course today, we would realize success in one lifetime. Cayce explained that he went down the path of light and traveled through realms. He ultimately made it to heaven and beyond. The beyond is something few will see anytime soon, but what about the rest? What can we expect? What will it take for people to care about truth? Is it possible to change individually so we may see heaven? When we die, we enter extreme darkness. It is a realm void of physical beings. Our soul may stay here and linger with no direct purpose, other than to stay connected to the selfish existence we lived. If we are less attached to our ego, we may enter a realm of less vibration. These realms have distinct differences from the darkness, and have some stability. The spiritual realm has transitions from materiality toward awareness. There are 3 global bands that completely surround the earth. They are each divided into 3 separate rings, totaling 9. Our material life determines the vibration in our soul, as it is in the material plane that we may attach to the ego and increase vibration, or deny it and lower the vibration of our soul. The vibration is the mechanism that decides our place in these realms. The first 2 bands are hell. The 3rd band is heaven. Plus, there is a realm beyond heaven, and a realm we encounter prior to hell. We have many witnesses on earth who have seen these bands. They either have intuitive memories or have had near-death experiences. I prefer to research the near-death experiences and read books from intuitive people, rather than to listen to people talk. I want more of a commitment from my sources. The first stage, the lowest realm, is directly above and penetrates below the Earth's crust. The density here is extremely high and compressed, and has been described as a heavy fluid. Souls that cannot go beyond this realm have a very high vibration, and are the undesirable. This soul is totally attached to the basic needs of material life and may not know it has no physical body. This is the realm we are staged in as we get accustomed to our change in existence. The smallest degree of awareness allows a soul to seek a faint path of light that can take them beyond this painful experience. This awareness can be realized with a lowering of vibration in the past lifetime. I don't think it takes much for most people to find the light, but it does take some form of commitment. Leaving this realm takes the soul to the bands. The different stages of heaven and hell are available by way of this path of light. We graduate from one realm and move to the next if we are able to lower our vibration in our physical life. Reincarnation is a gift demonstrating free will, and is the foundation for the meaning of life. Lost in hell. Of the first band, there are 3 rings. The first ring is just above the earth. The soul resides here in a life similar to the material life it had on earth. This realm is furnished with the same physical objects that are familiar. There is a landscape that matches earth. This is where souls reside if their vibration is too high to embrace spirituality. They live as they did on earth because they have no means to change the vibration, and they have no awareness. The second ring is less dense and more withdrawn from the material plane. Souls may improve their surroundings as they experience a taste of spirituality. They feel less of an attachment to the life they lived. Their realm is more desirable than the prior ring, and is preparation for a spiritual experience. There is beauty in the surroundings. This soul has lived life in the material plane with no direction, and is very selfish. The third ring is similar to the second, but there is more beauty in the surroundings, and a less physical existence is realized. This soul is still focused on the material world and has a sense of right and wrong based on personal gains. Excuses are still a dominant theme for these souls in the material life. This ring is the final stage before a soul can follow the path of light to the second band. The vibration determines where the soul resides in the first band, as far as which of the 3 rings, and we must be reincarnated to lower that vibration. Cayce noticed that as he traveled through these rings there were souls struggling to reach the path of light, but could not. He went through all stages of the spiritual realm as he made it to the Akashic record, which is the Book of Life. All souls write and is etched into the basic fabric of the universe. On an atomic level. Not until he reached heaven, the third band, did he notice souls were not continually suffering to get to the light. Stable hell. Once a soul has become aware of the need to lower vibration, and has traveled down the light, it now has come to the second band. Their awareness is not a conscious thought, but they may have developed common sense, which is a primary requirement to reduce vibration. A prolonged stay in the first band may have triggered a sense that life is a lesson. The fourth ring is the beginning of the new band. Souls are no longer attached to the physical existence, and they can no longer see earth. They are still self-absorbed and have limited ability to change their surroundings. They may build upon the landscape established by prior souls, or they may learn to alter it somewhat. This soul has started to understand the difference between right and wrong, but does not believe in things they cannot see. The fifth ring is inhabited by selfish and false religious pretenders. They are manipulators who see themselves as heavenly spirits. Souls who share similar beliefs group together and play their games. They are self-righteous and egoic, but are aware of the commitment towards spirituality. Souls remain here for many lives until they lower vibration, which is difficult with ego attached. Their sense of right and wrong is real, but they may think they can control the bottom line through deceit. The sixth ring is inhabited by souls who are materialistic intellectuals. They understand the concept of spirituality and implement it so they enjoy and profit. They may be more committed, but serve no true purpose as they are still self-serving. This is where souls remain for a very long time since they cannot understand a cause worthy of sacrifice. They make an effort to be honest, But the bottom line affects their choices. They live through ideals, but when it becomes difficult, they utilize delusions to simplify their decision-making. As egoic souls live in the material plane, they are fear-based and grasp illusions that support the ego. This is where high vibration originates. The vast majority of people currently embrace the ego and cultivate it. They pretend to be something they are not, and commit to that goal. To fool others, but they only fool themselves. A spiritual existence that is established on earth may be able to oppose the ego and lower the vibration of the soul. With the act of giving help from enlightened souls, this stable low vibration is achieved in a relatively short time frame. With no help, only a life of extended suffering can effectively oppose the ego. Heaven. The third band is commonly known as heaven. There are 3 rings which are less defined as the rings in hell, as well as a 4th ring that is even less separated from the other rings. After the first 3 rings of heaven, the remainder of heaven is a gradual change that is witnessed by souls that have been existing with a low vibration for a long time. I would think that it will be a long time before we can define the realm that is beyond the first 3 rings in heaven. Cayce did not elaborate much on this portion of his journeys. He did say that the Akashic record is down this path. I am not sure which ring is the realm for the collection of enlightened souls which define our future, but it would seem that the 4th ring is that place. The first ring of the 3rd band is where souls reside who were selfless and achieved a low vibration through devotion and sacrifice for family and friends. It would require a spirituality that is born of many lifetimes that evolved from suffering to giving. In my life, it seemed that there were many of these souls on earth when I was a child, but society changed to the point where it is rare to find a soul from this realm. That may be evidence that souls don't stay here long, as they are ready to move on. The 2nd ring is where religious devotion is realized through words and routines focusing on deities. The commitment does not utilize creative actions that result in the act of giving on a daily basis. These souls are followers who accept their role in maintaining low vibration within, but not outwardly on a daily basis. Their material existence does not include sacrifice at a cost, but are willing to do what is convenient. Enlightenment is achievable with help in another life. The 3rd ring is where leadership is demonstrated. To get beyond this band and onto the path toward God, there would be a daily routine of giving so that the bottom line is affected. This may be where true religious leaders once came from, but today it would seem their purpose is to go beyond. Apparently there is not much of a chance to help egoic souls with the bottom line today, because if it was, this is where there would be a large amount of truly enlightened souls. The 4th ring blends into the path of light toward knowledge and total understanding. I think that we only use a small portion of our brains and the rest has a purpose for the future, after we have entered this 4th ring. I will not even begin to speculate, as I am not qualified. I am not sure where I fit into this realm of God's will. I have never thought about it. In 1979 I left the material plane and witnessed the beauty of perfection. When I came back, I was disappointed because I could not remember. I only remembered the feeling I had. That may indicate that I am a young soul. I have realized that I am not like the egoic 99% of current America, but I also realize that I have unwanted vibration. How strange it would be if I find out I am just an experiment in a 3rd grader's chemistry set. One thing I could feel confident about. That student got an A. Don't tell me I have no ego. Akashic record. The Akashic record was theorized by scientists in the early 1900s. Edgar Cayce witnessed it as he traveled down the path of light through hell and beyond heaven. Through the Akashic record, our lives leave karmic remains from each life that usually embodies itself in a newly incarnated body. This can be a positive or a negative aspect, depending on the life we live and karmic residue. Cayce said in his readings, under trance, that most of his information came from that book of life, Akashic record, which is a record of everything our souls experience in physical form. While some information came from other souls directly, most came from the shared knowledge among the entity which is the entirety of all souls. Scientists who study particles on an atomic and subatomic level have witnessed phenomena that suggest that these particles are changed after they have been influenced by an outside agent. All particles retain an impression of everything that has influenced it. There is a record which contains its history. This record enables some ability to allow a method by which it can be reviewed. This establishes a connection with our biomolecular brain cells, which allows the mind to view portions of the Akashic records. The experiences we have are captured and form part of the Akashic records, by way of the permanent record etched into the particles that make up matter. Edgar Cayce said the Akashic records were, to the mental world as the cinema is to the physical world. We are living a life that is being recorded. The basic construction of matter in our universe is the palette by which we create our existence. We establish our karma directly upon the fabric of this existence. As we live a life, and engineer our soul, we develop our ability to understand our purpose. This understanding is our common sense, which is the underlying theme that decides our path in life. Common sense is our primary tool in combating the ego and lowering the vibration of our soul as it leaves the material plane. We use our common sense to subconsciously decide how we perceive right and wrong, and may also be the mechanism that decides how we pursue truth. Our ability to deal with fear and doubt may be the product of our past lives, etched into our permanent record, and displayed in our actions. Our karma may be the sum of all the accumulated years of many lives, and the wonderful thing about life is that we can improve our track record scientifically. By living in this material realm, and how we deal with our ego, we improve our karma in the material plane, while our souls are locked into the sum of our actions. What would we all think if we knew that we are in control of our lives, and all we have to do is deal with truth? Excuses mean nothing to the particles, as they are not the decision-making factor. Delusions are man-made and the product of the ego, while truth is the product of using common sense. Fear is at our core and we fail to find strength enough to grasp and embrace our common sense. We have the power to make the choice, yet we do not. It is us, and only us, who have the power, and how perfect is that? You are the author of your existence. Ego. God, the artist, created the universe. He established free will. This was intended to allow us to reach our goals. Our future. The Spirit has a sanctuary within his free will. The Spirit is within all of us, and is a piece of God. It is the soul, and it is eternal. It is who we are, and it is free to endure. The beauty of the Spirit is within us. It is in our memories. Even if those memories are prettier than the truth. It is in our potential. In those moments in our lives when things didn't matter. When money didn't exist. When our parents didn't abuse us or neglect us. When tomorrow wasn't a burden. It is in the trust we lost long ago. True love involves the Spirit, which has the potential to be a daily routine in the reality we are obsessed with. It could be what we are born into, what we awake to each day. The essence of our material existence, and how we share each moment. Instead, we have the burden of survival. The Spirit is lost. Reality is a temporary setback which we cannot avoid, but we can endure. If we choose to not identify with reality, and to find the beauty of the Spirit, then we have faith. Faith was intended to support our beauty. It was supposed to be an endowment. A gift from those who are responsible for us. Faith is real, and is eternal. It was once a gift from our parents, and was maintained with help from our friends. Forgiveness is an act of grace, but it is not given. It is received. The only true forgiveness is a gift from us to ourselves. We never have to forgive another. We only have to see the beauty of the Spirit. That is our quest. To forgive ourselves enough that we can see. To see the beauty of the Spirit we love. Not loved, because the love never ends. Faith, forgiveness, love. Any of these things destroy the barrier. The ego. All we have to do is have faith, forgive ourselves, and love another. And we leave this world without ego. Our soul leaves the material realm with some vibration. How much depends on how well we rejected the negative influence of the ego. There are no exceptions with the ego, as it is the definition of our existence in this negatively charged realm. The best we can do is seek truth, which leads to despair. If we accept truth, we can survive the despair and become aware. We have little or no help, because there is no act of giving, as those enlightened souls are in heaven. Without help from an enlightened soul, the act of giving, we are on our own. If we seem not to be, it is because we cultivate the ego. The best we can do today is to unite and work toward the rejection of the ego. To announce that you are beyond this goal establishes that you are not aware. To be aware is to have survived suffering. Find the beauty of the spirit and discover faith. Look inward and see the truth. Embrace despair and achieve self-forgiveness. Invest completely into unconditional love for another, at a total cost with no reward. Honor truth, discover faith, forgiveness, love. And leave without ego. Reincarnation. Reincarnation is the foundation for the definition of life. It is the primary component of free will. Ancient religions are based on the concept of reincarnation and all say almost the same thing. We all have the choice to reject the ego or embrace it. Discovering truth is our primary obstacle. We are spiritual beings and incarnate into the realm of negative charge and high vibration so that we have the ability to use these strong forces to purify our souls. Our individual goals include seeking truth so we can understand the ego, which gives us the opportunity to reject it and lower our vibration. This allows us to travel farther down the path of light. Once we have achieved enlightenment, and have found heaven, we have the ability to share with other souls and improve our chances of combining in heaven as one. The farther down the path of light our soul travels, the more aware we become and work toward the goals of the whole, which is awareness. Intuitive people talk about awareness in this material world. They also discuss the concept that we need to become one with the higher dimension and raise our frequency to match it. This seems simple, but it is not. Our perception is that this is higher vibration, but the evidence, along with common sense, dictates that we need to lower vibration to be closer to God, who has no vibration. It may be our concept of frequency, or it may be our perception is from the negative magnetic world and we see things not quite as they are. Intuitive people mention awareness, as ancient religious leaders do as well. From my perspective, actual awareness is achieved in the spiritual realm after enlightenment, which is reaching heaven through our efforts in the material world. Awareness is what we achieve once we have united as one in the realm beyond heaven. It may be that the awareness intuitive people embrace is common sense. To be able to embrace common sense as a somewhat tangible item may be quite exhilarating. Reincarnation is wonderful. It is the direct gift from God which defines humanity. Enlightenment is our goal in the material plane so that we can better achieve awareness in the spiritual plane. The concept of reincarnation should not be feared. It is salvation. History. History provides us with profound truths. Everything spiritually important is from the past. It would not be hard to understand these basic fundamentals if we were operating with clean slates. Yet, many are not allowed to seek truth. All we have to do as a species is make the commitment to study history. Our ancestors knew so much more than us, and they left us elaborate monuments of grand proportions so that we would not forget about our obligation to truth. Our purpose in life is simple if it is laid out for us. It is impossible without some help. The science of the universe does not allow us to incarnate without a debt. All we need is to know that. That is our first job. To reject the ego so we can embrace truth. Otherwise, we will worship the ego and destroy ourselves. The plan was to receive help in the form of giving. Ages ago we knew we were going to lose the connection to the future. The universe does not offer us perfection on a permanent basis. We have to endure. Plus, it certainly appears that we are infected as a whole. Maybe that is what Christians talk about as Satan. Except they have no idea what or why. In the future we will begin new quests once we have become what we have been designed to be. Individuals working together as a whole. It is a simple matter of vibration on a subatomic level, but the ego is the negative force that attaches and neutralizes the positive. The fact that we do not deal with truth in society displays our current situation. We are working individually to purify our souls, and it must be done in the material world where magnetism and negative charge dominates. The positive charges are stable in the center of an atom, while the negative electron is wild and unstable. The definition of electricity deals with this instability of electrons, which apparently are the source of magnetism. Our ancestors knew all of this. We have one mechanism that deals with the ego individually. Suffering. If we work together, we have the act of giving, which has power over all material things. Reality is simple, but we never witness reality. We cannot get past the ego, as it is impossible without help. We only have suffering. Even pure and enlightened souls have the ego attached when incarnated. Suffering brings us down to a level where we have no choice but to deal with truth. The fact that we all have ego attached explains very well why we do not have great leaders. We have to accumulate enlightened souls in heaven so we can have a chance in this dimension. And then we have to have some help from above so we can reject the ego. Our future depends on mankind working together to allow newborns the right to freedom of ego, which requires giving. Society is a delusional condition that we must overcome. Society in America was built on our history in Europe, which was century after century of wars and famines and suffering. Conquerors set out to rule the world on more than one occasion. The civilization there was built upon the ruins of an ancient past. Not a couple thousand years, as we are taught, but many thousands of years. Ancient man was superior to our current condition, and they knew our future would involve the abandonment of souls to again deal with ego. Ancient man left behind records and remains so that we would see the truth in history. Huge stones were utilized to build massive cities and monuments so that we could see evidence thousands of years later after the Earth has suffered trauma. They built upon global lines of energy that cross the planet. These lines have powers we have yet to explain. Where does our current recorded history explain the construction techniques utilizing stones that weigh tens or hundreds of tons? It does not, and instead it suggests they do not exist or were built by hand. Even though we have no manner to build them today. The more obvious the evidence, the easier we manage to explain it doesn't exist. But, our ancestors knew we would eventually have no choice but to deal with truth. If we don't have the answers, then we are taught those answers don't exist. We are told to beware of truth. Our society is fear-based, as well it should be. If we build our society upon the ego, we should have something to fear. Truth. Fear is the gift we impose on our children, along with abandonment. Even if we were devoted parents, we deny them truth. Heaven and hell are the results of choices we all hold. This knowledge establishes a contradiction in our lives. This is a hint to the fact that our lives have meaning. What is better? A life of selfishness that ends in nothingness and makes no sense? Or a life that offers us the ability to be who we want to be? Religion. Religion offers egotists the chance to pretend to have a conscience. It is not difficult to see modern religion as a political tool to impose fear upon the masses. I have worked directly with religious leaders who were outright crooks. People who preached on Sunday as they operated a business during the week where they lied every day and took money for services that were never intended to be performed. History shows us explicit details of evil religious leaders. Even today, Society allows this to happen. They use the ego against people, and it works. Today we display very well how flawed we are, and pretend we cannot see it. As long as we have money coming in, we are doing just fine. If a person speaks out for justice, they usually speak alone. Each decade America gets worse. We have politics all over the media, and who is running the show? Profiteers. Which leader operates non-profit? None of them. And still I have a very difficult time finding anyone who will agree. They are afraid. Afraid of losing money, fame, and fortune. Yes, it is true a person will be judged and attacked if they speak out for truth. Makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. What do we fear? It is simple. Suffering. We fear that which is our salvation. We are so obsessed with a long life that we don't even try to define life. All along we have the opportunity to embrace our suffering and discover truth. Instead, we hate the person who stands up for truth. We do unto others before they do unto us, and call it by another name. Delusions are tasty. For those who care about truth, this is a great time to do something about it. You don't have to go out and suffer immensely. Just share a little. Make a connection for a few seconds with a less fortunate stranger. Learn something from them. And if you have a tough road in life, pause for a few seconds each day and give a smile to the profiteers. They are most in need. Your suffering may end. Theirs will not. Money is not enough in the end. And in the end, they will know it. Edgar Cayce told us, religion is a convenient compromise of spirituality. There is but one law, love thy God and thy neighbor as thyself. Wisdom. We are committed to extending our physical lives as long as possible. We are obsessed with it. We think only a fool would not be obsessed with it. But all obvious reality suggests that we are all wrong. All we have to do is address who we are. By looking within. Look in the mirror and beyond the image. Look for truth. What you will find is despair. Why? Because all we believe in is a lie. The samurai were committed to living a life with honor, and found salvation in having a good death. Honor was a tangible item with extreme value. That is called wisdom. As we live today, we replace honor with excuses. We replace wisdom with lies. We deny truth in the most extreme manner. We deny all that we are. In a land near India, long ago, a king ruled. It is common that rulers indulge themselves, as few people achieve enlightenment as a ruler. This king had sex with palace slaves, as was the norm. It would not be hard to visualize a situation where a ruler had access to the most beautiful young women. But it would be rare for a religion to allow this truth to be its foundation. The king fell in love with one such slave, and she became pregnant. It was not the first time such a thing happened, and the king always inflicted a death penalty upon the newborn. But this time he was truly in love. The slave demanded that the king not kill her child, and told him that if he did, she would kill herself. So the king made a promise. It would be hard to believe that a king would submit to the wishes of a slave girl. The king kept his promise, but on his terms. The newborn was taken away from the mother, and put into a room. For 18 years, the child was kept in a chair, constantly served by a group of servants. He stayed that way the entire time, never doing anything for himself. All he knew were the few servants and the four walls of the room, which had a doorway. On the 18th birthday of the child, it weighed between 400 and 500 pounds. It could not walk. It was wheeled out the front door of the palace, and left on the steps, in a wagon. As it sat in the wagon, it saw, for the first time, the sky, townspeople, movement of the air, trees, houses, and shops. This child would become the spiritual leader of the world. Not the religious leader, as Buddhism is not religion. The spiritual leader, as spirituality is truth. He was not affected by the ego, as all souls are. Simply because he was never allowed to witness society. He immediately saw hypocrisy, deceit, disillusionment, suffering, and truth. His simple deductions were truth-based, and he was very intelligent, and had no choice but to be observant. The Buddha is said to have given a silent sermon, once during which he held up a flower and gazed at it. After a while, one of the monks present began to smile. He is said to have been the only one who had understood the sermon. According to legend, that smile was handed down by 28 successive masters and much later became the origin of Zen. The transformation of human consciousness from material to spiritual has been the central message of the great wisdom teachings of mankind's spiritual messengers. Here lies the salvation of mankind, and to accomplish this would reinitiate a new age of man. Our fifth attempt. We can read books or follow spiritual paths, but to make the necessary change we need more. To follow Buddha is to search for truth. It is not convenient. It is not accepted by society. It is not simple. It is a constant commitment. A search for meaning. It is a true commitment, and cannot be adjusted to taste. Truth will not make you popular, rich, or fashionable. It will take you to a place that is the future, and the past, but not the present. The Buddha gave us simple truth to combat the ego, and we see no value in it. 1. Truth is seldom convenient. 2. Assumption is commonly delusion. 3. Convenience is seldom a form of giving. 4. Incarnation of the soul into the material plane comes with ego attached. 5. Delusion defines ego. Truth destroys delusion. 6. Truth is discovered, not created. 7. Identifying the ego as the purpose of spirituality. 8. Spirituality is seldom achieved without suffering. 9. Awareness is achieved through commitment. 10. Medication/delusion/assumption is protection from commitment. Atisha, a great 11th century Tibetan Buddhist master, said, "The greatest achievement is selflessness. The greatest worth is self-mastery. The greatest quality is seeking to serve others. The greatest precept is continual awareness. The greatest medicine is the emptiness of everything. The greatest action is not conforming with the world's ways. The greatest magic is transmuting the passions. The greatest generosity is non-attachment. The greatest goodness is a peaceful mind. The greatest patience is humility. The greatest effort is not concerned with results. The greatest meditation is a mind that lets go. The greatest wisdom is seeing through appearances. Life is a quest for learning, as opposed to seeking the path of least resistance. Fear is the force behind failure, constantly dominating the choices of the many. In the end, failure is only tangible to those who seek it. A strong person is one who judges his conquests as lessons rather than potential mistakes, and lives for the cause, and dreams of what may come. The outcome is something to be discovered rather than controlled. The only true failure is that which has a victim. Common is the person whose logic is based on comfort. The majority is man's failure, whose exploits define who he is. The minority are those who own their responsibilities without excuses. Fear is invisible, yet it is in plain sight. It is a gift from the ignorant to the innocent. And in the end, the blind majority become free and aware, well enough that they may see. Well, we can dream, right? A quick perspective of life can be seen in the game of chess. It describes very well the dynamics of the ego, and how it relates to life. The pawn represents a commoner, and is limited and predictable, but can do much. The rook represents a chariot, a tool. It can do more than a commoner, but is straightforward and predictable. The knight is a soldier, very skilled and dangerous. The bishop is a powerful controller, doing great damage, but always twisted and at an angle. The queen is most powerful and can do anything, but is not skilled like a knight. The king does little or nothing. It is the pawn who survives, is freely charitable, lives with realistic goals, and builds the foundation that supports the kingdom. It is the pawn who goes to heaven, not the powerful. Only when a pawn assumes the role of the powerful, can such a person go to heaven. And only a pawn who remains a pawn throughout life, survives the ego. Surviving the ego is the purpose of life. A pawn who remains a pawn, takes care of family and friends, lives each day as a pawn, and remembers who they are, is a chosen one. Giving is a product of living as a chosen one, and those around that person enjoy the benefits. Learning to share. Learning is handed down from generation to generation, and life stays simple. Progress is slow and gradual. This kind of life builds a foundation for the future, providing inspiration and guidance. When a pawn does not have the support of family and friends, it is abandoned. Our lives are dominated by the masses, who are the product of abandonment. The ego is a part of life, and once abandonment occurs, it takes hold. Ambition is only one of many corruptions of the soul. Unless a pawn who assumes the role of the other chess pieces remains a pawn, that person becomes that piece, and is consumed by the ego. True leaders remain pawns. Today, life is dominated by the ego. Pawns are rarely, if ever, born into the world of our ancestors. That world is gone. Our only chance is to discover the truth, by way of suffering. We cannot change the world. We can only hope to share truth with another. This is just another moment in time. Variables combine to show potential. Sacrifices linger to stretch the moment. Suffering creates the mathematical formula for time and space to achieve harmony. The scientific truth is available for those who want to be a part of it. Wade Welch Wallman 22 @AOL.com